Hey guys, and welcome back. More Newcastle United transfer news today. We've got plenty to get into. You can probably see from the length of this video how long I've been talking for today. We have so much to get into. The season ticket information has finally came out, but there has been a lot of backlash from Newcastle fans regarding the Champions League ticket pricing. We'll get into that in just a moment, but anyway guys, welcome back. If you are new around here and you like what you watch, make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button. I will be at the Hoppins as soon as I upload this video. Quite literally the second I get this video up, I'm going straight to Hoppins. I'm going to be there all day. If you guys are coming up at any point, make sure to come over and say hello. If you want to get in the video, anything like that, just feel free to do so. I'm either going to get that video up tonight or tomorrow morning. I haven't decided yet, but there's a massive heads up for you. But if you do enjoy what you watch, make sure to smash that like button as well, and finally let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. Before we get into everything regarding this football club, we're going to talk about the controversy first. We'll get it over and done with it so we can get into more positive things in the video. So Newcastle have released a Champions League ticket pricing, and for an adult to go to a Champions League game next season, it's going to cost you £55 per match. So you are paying £165 to attend the 3 group stage matches at St James's Park, and that's caused a lot of backlash from fans. People think the pricing is completely wrong. Now, I do think it's a lot. I'm not going to lie. I think £165 for 3 games is a lot of money, but I can also see the club side of it. Now, I don't want to be a massive kiss ass. I promise you now, if I massively disagree with someone from the club, I will come out and say it. But these are going to be the same individuals that are going to complain if Newcastle can't spend a certain amount of money in the transfer window. I mean, Newcastle are increasing the pricing so we can spend more. It's not like Amanda and Murder are putting all that money in the back pockets. It's not like Ashley anymore. We haven't got him anymore. Newcastle are doing this for their advantage. They want to earn more match day revenue. And in terms, it helps us actually branch out and buy more players. To earn more revenue, we can actually go out and do more stuff with it. So I can understand why the club does it. I don't agree with it, but unfortunately, it's just the modern world. If you compare the season ticket price to, for example, our clubs, Newcastle's season ticket price is still lower than the major top 6. Champions League price is a little bit up from that, but I think it's a fair balance. I think it's a lot of money. Obviously, people can argue that Newcastle is cashing in on the fans for the first time getting Champions League football in 20 years. But honestly, regardless of whether you like it or not, Newcastle could charge £90, it could charge £100, and St James's Park would still sell out. That's just the harsh reality of today's world. People want to go no matter what. So the club can just mug people off. They can do it. I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that the pricing's like that. But honestly, we're in the Champions League. I'm honestly going to come out now. I'm going to whinge about, oh, there's 2 T's on my shirt. Oh, we've got to pay £55 a Champions League match. I'm not going to come out and whinge about all that after what we've done. No, I'm loving life. I'm loving everything Newcastle does. Yes, some things they might use to their advantage, but honestly, I mean, I can see why they're doing it. The club will put our money back into players. Come on. I mean, you can have your opinion. I'm not going to tell you can't have an opinion, but I think we've got to be fair. I'm not going to come out, I'm not going to whinge about it. I'm going to enjoy life, and I'm going to enjoy the group stage matches next season. I'm going to pay the £165 to watch the group stage games. I'm going to go to the away ones as well. It's going to cost a lot of money, and that's just how it is, but I'm going to love every single second of it, and this club's going to benefit from it as well. So I can understand the backlash, but for me, though, I'm not going to whinge about it. I'm just loving everything that Newcastle is doing at the minute. We'll begin off this video by talking about the outgoings first at Newcastle now, because I hadn't had a chance to speak about them yet. There's been so much going on. So Matty Longstaff and Kieran Clark are the 2 main players who will be leaving Newcastle. Their contracts haven't been renewed and they'll no longer be a part of this football team. With Longstaff, though, there's an exception with him. Now, because of the fact that he completely blew his knee out during his loan spell, to my knowledge, he's still allowed to be in Newcastle's training ground. He's still there, essentially, to his 100%. So the club obviously hasn't just ditched him and threw him out when he's not fit. You've got to keep him there, you can use the facilities, and once he's ready to move to a different club, that's when he'll stop going. So to my knowledge, he's still at the club, but obviously he's not contracted anymore, so he doesn't get paid from them. And as for those 2, I think it's the correct call. Clark is just finished, to be honest. He had a great time in Newcastle, did what he needed to do, but he's one of them ones where he's just past his sell-by date. And Longstaff, he had that incredible moment against Manchester United. No matter what happens to him in his career, he'll always have that, and that's just a dream come true for any Newcastle fans, scoring against Manchester United in your debut alongside your brother Sean. I mean, what a moment that is. I wish them both all the best. They've done what they need to do at Newcastle, but I think it is the correct call. And as for the other players, so Matt Ritchie and Mark Gillespie are both staying. Loris Karius and Paul Dunn have been offered contracts, so they haven't been renewed yet, but the choice is there for them to accept them. I fully expect Paul to do it. I'm not entirely sure on Karius, though, because I believe his family's pushing from him to make a move to somewhere like Italy. So we'll see what happens there. But the fact that Karius has been offered a contract suggests to me that Dubravka will be on his way, because you wouldn't give Gillespie, Karius contracts when you got 4 keepers already. So for me, it sounds like Dubravka is probably going to be on his way. Eddie Howe has stated that he wants to keep him at the club, but it's one of them ones where he's not happy with the game time he's getting. I don't see him staying, to be honest. So we'll see what happens. As for the Euro players, I think Matt Ritchie's an interesting one. That's a player that doesn't really play much, but Eddie Howe states that he's so important in the dressing room. He's that leader, he's that focal point. He's somebody there that is helpful to the other players. So even though he's a player that doesn't play much, you can argue he doesn't do anything. I mean, he definitely does behind the scenes, but it's a case that for Newcastle fans, they probably are a bit critical towards a player like him. For me though, I think it's probably the correct call. He's somebody that I've been a bit hesitant on because, well, the 25-man squad is full, so that means players have to leave. And assuming obviously that Ritchie is staying now, that means Jamal Lewis is probably going to go, Mankiel is probably going to go. You need to clear up some space in order to sign, so it's a case that he's still going to be a part of the squad, but we have to get the squad depth in now. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I thought we'd discuss about that. But as for the fixtures now, so they got released as well. Tough fixtures, I will say. I wouldn't say that bad. I think some people definitely have made them sound worse than they actually are. I think the ones at the start of the season is actually a good thing, because before we play the Champions League matches, you get like to Manchester City away out of the way first. Because I also think as well with Guardiola, that City's a team that at the start of the season, that's when they're going to drop points to the second half of the season when they really kick it in, just with every match. But you can catch a team like that off guard at the start, so I don't think it's that bad. My problem though, as explained well by Jack here, is actually the December fixtures, because not only are the fixtures hard, you also got the 2 Champions League matches, 5 and 6 match week in there as well. So you got the final Champions League games in there that could decide where we finish in the group stage, and you got all those hard games as well. So that portion of the season quite literally makes or breaks the year. Hard few weeks there. We have to make sure we got enough players in there. We're going to pick up suspensions, we're going to pick up injuries. We have to make sure the squad depth is there, which is why of course Newcastle are going to invest heavily in this transfer window. Finally, after having to wait all this time for season ticket information to come out, Newcastle United have finally released details about when fans can renew it and what's going on with the tickets next season. So we'll begin off with the pricing. There's been an average increase of 3.3% across the stands, with some of them going up to 5% increase in price. Honestly, I think that's actually okay. You got to remember as well, you're not just paying to have your tickets at the match, you're also paying to keep your place in line, essentially. For those who are wanting to go to games the rest of their life, you've got to have that season ticket, and it's fair to say nobody is giving the season ticket up. So honestly, the club, I think it is expected every year that the price will increase. It's just natural, unfortunately, because of the fact Newcastle are a much better team, because of the fact we've got this football now, these better players in. The club will increase the price for their own business just so we can go out and buy more players. And it just makes sense because, well, if you're going to be paying this much money in the Championship, then surely in the Champions League you'll be paying more money naturally. So it's one of them ones where you should expect the change. But honestly, they could have charged way more. So I actually think it's a legit good price from Newcastle. But as for this scheme, though, how it works, so there's actually a new scheme in place. So you can actually essentially reserve tickets for every cup game straight up. So you can just go on straight away, tick a button, then you're guaranteed a ticket for every cup game in your seats. So it's not a case you've got to keep going on the website every single time, which can be an absolute ball ache sometimes. So you can do that for the Champions League 3 games, the Carabao Cup games, the FA Cup games. It's just way easier, and Newcastle are wanting to go electronically next season, so they do have to sort out the Wi-Fi service at St James because it's crap, so they have to sort that part out. But the club is wanting to change a lot regarding season tickets, and I think most of it sounds good, so well done to them. Kudos to you, I think the saying is. But for the season ticket renewal, so they'll come out on Monday at around 10 AM, and then you got this just started July to renew them, so you got a couple of weeks. Plenty of time, no need to rush on. But honestly, I think the club's doing a good job. It's now finally time to get through the transfer news. My apologies, it took forever to get through all of that there. But we get off with Fabrizio Romano. He actually saying that Newcastle are currently ongoing with talks to sign a 16-year-old Leo Sahar from Wolves, a current England national player. Someone that, again, I know nothing about. I've never watched this kid play before, but it is a good sign of things to come. Someone for me that's not a player Yankuba Minto or player Garankyo. This is someone that is going to go into Newcastle's academy. He'll develop for a couple of years and then he'll be put out on loan somewhere. But I think the most important thing for Newcastle is making sure that academy can function. Now, the last thing we want to do is sign these upcoming players, put them in the academy for a couple of years, all of a sudden they've stagnated and not doing anything. So we do have to make sure the progression's there. That's a big part of Dan Ashworth, is making sure that connection from the youth teams to the first teams there. And we had to make sure that everyone at the academy can get it going, because last season, to my knowledge, it looked like a pretty bad year. So we've got to improve on it, which we will do now. That's what the transfer window is for. That's what we are doing as a football club. We are improving all avenues so we can progress going forward. We have to have those club training players. We have to have those homegrown players who are ready to kick on the Premier League, so the likes of podium can eventually be let go. Because I mean, we do need to get some young talent in there, players that can develop and become players that are going to be major players in our squad. So it's important. Time will tell, but that's the first one that's came out, and we're getting to James Maddison now, so we've got a chance to speak about him, because still, again, with him being at England at the minute, there's still a bit going on with him in the background. So Callum Wilson's been teasing Instagram once again regarding the player, saying that Newcastle is this way. Obviously, the players, everyone knows about James Maddison's links to Newcastle. It's already been spoken about high in the media about how the player wants Champions League football, how the player is happy to make the move, and it's just the case now when Newcastle have to get a correct deal done with Leicester, but they're being quite stubborn at the start of the window. They want a team to come and play £50+ million for a guy that is in the Championship. So we'll see how things go, but there have been also some major updates regarding him. So the CAA base is actually the agency that owns James Maddison. So the same agency we had for Kieran Trippier, the same agency we had for Chris Wood, the same agency we had for our players, where they've got a very good connection with Newcastle United. So that's the reason why we kind of target CAA based players, because it's just easy to speak to the agents. Newcastle are happy dealing with them, and it's a case that gradually over time we gain a better relationship, and it's easier to get players through the door. Now, the reason why I'm talking about them is because it's been reported that they're actually looking into relocating Newcastle now. So they're, in their belief anyway, they're looking into the possibility of James Maddison going to Newcastle. So they are currently looking at housing for him. They're looking at where he could possibly live. It's just a case now where they're setting it up as if it's going to happen. But of course, they might be doing the same down in London, but I thought it's important to mention anyway, because I think, again, it is a good sign of what's to come. I think it's a good sign of Maddison going to Newcastle. But if he comes to Newcastle, then Barella probably isn't going to come. So we'll talk about him next now, because, well, a lot of people have been a bit critical of him the last day or so. A lot of people took Fabrizio Romano's word in saying that, well, you know what, this one's popped up too early, it's not going to happen now. But there's no evidence to suggest that it's not going to happen. It's just a case that Newcastle have shown an interest. They wanted to sign the player, and it's probably been leaked a little bit too early, but there's no sign whatsoever that it's been called off. Nobody said it's been called off. I don't know where this has came from. And I know obviously I was talking about Fabrizio Romano before regarding these 16-year-old, but you base this information off somebody that, to be fair, did actually get João Pedro completely wrong. This is a guy that said Pedro had a done deal at Newcastle when he clearly didn't. So Fabrizio Romano, yes, he's a worldwide journalist, but he's not a Newcastle United-based journalist, so he bases information off what he hears from other people. But the likes of Keith Daniel, the likes of Craig Hope, these are people that are quite literally employed to talk about Newcastle, employed to know everything that's going on with Newcastle. So personally for me, I probably would trust them more than Romano, but I'm not saying who to believe and who not to believe. That's your choice completely. But for my job on this channel, quite literally, I post the articles out there, tell you what I personally think about them, and it's just how I do it, really. It's just we talk about everything in one video. We'll try and get as concise as possible. I want to tell you guys everything that's going on regarding the transfer window, because it can get quite messy. There's so much going on, and even though it's been open a couple of days, you've seen it with this video. It's just so much to talk about. It's honestly, I can just go on all day. It's like clockwork, just literally go on all day. It's mental. But it's a bit flustered. But I think over the next week or so, things will ease out a little bit. I think once the likes of Maddison come off international duty, then I think things will go quickly. But the thing with Leicester is really that Newcastle, it's also been reported by the media that gradually over time the valuation of the player would drop during the transfer window. So they believe Newcastle is trying to wait this one out. But we'll have to wait and see. If Tottenham going for the player though, then that's when things are going to spice up. Newcastle will have to make a move then. But for now though, it does still look promising. I think Maddison probably is the deal out of any player that sounds like it would be completed at the minute, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, I think it is positive news. I think it's something good to talk about, and I think for a Newcastle fan, you can just relax in the sun and know that we're going to get some good players. And so you take care now, guys. I've been talking for a long time. Apologies, this video is so long. It's just been mental talking about everything. But I wish you all the best. Take care. I'll see you all at the Hoppings later on today.